Ever wondered what the real cost of convenience is in our digital world? Tim Jensen, host of Intentionally Inconvenient, dares to question if convenience is truly the enemy of privacy. You'll explore the essence of privacy, why it's worth pursuing, and debunk the myth that it's a lost cause. Together, you will challenge the notion of, I have nothing to hide, and reveal why every bit of your information matters. Remember, all hope is not lost. It's time to reclaim your privacy in this intentionally inconvenient reality.
Hello and welcome to Intentionally Inconvenient, where we talk about maintaining our personal freedom through securing our privacy. My name is Tim Jensen. I am your host of Intentionally Inconvenient. In our last episode, we talked about the next step in the privacy bootcamp on level 1, which is search engines. In this episode, I'm going to be talking about email aliases. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. What is an email alias? Why do I recommend that you use them every day? What do I use them for? All those kinds of questions. So what exactly is an email alias? That's kind of the first question. We have to know what it is in order to know why we need it and what we're going to use it for. Email aliasing is essentially email forwarding. So you can give someone an email alias, like maybe let's say the person that's going to send this to you is someone@someone.com. And the email alias you gave them is alias@alias.com. Simple enough. When they send an email from someone@someone.com to that alias address, alias@alias.com, it's automatically forwarded to a different email address, realemail@realemail.com. This hides the final destination email address, the real email, from the person who sent it to you. When you reply to the email, you reply from realemail@realemail.com. It goes back to the alias. And then from the alias changes the email back into an alias account, sends it back to the original sender. Is that a little confusing? I hope not. What we're trying to do is we're trying to get this, there's three sections here. There's the sender, there's the alias, and then there's your real email address. We're trying to hide the real email address from the sender using that alias. So from the person to the alias, from the alias, then the alias does something in the software to forward it on to your real email address. When you click reply, it pops up an email address that looks really convoluted, sends it to the alias, and the alias then forwards it back to the original person. And that original person, what they have is your alias. They don't have your real email address, they have the alias. They don't have the convoluted one that I mentioned either. So, I hope that was understandable. From someone to the alias, to you, from you to the alias, back to the real email, to the original person. So why would you want to do this? What are you trying to hide? You're trying to hide your real email address. Why would you do that? There's some very good reasons. By giving out email aliases and categorizing them, you control who has access to you and who does not. And it's the who does not that's actually more important. The who does not need access to you. Data brokers. Data brokers buy and sell information about people all the time. And a personally identifying piece of information that is extremely personal is email address. The second one is also just as personal, and that's your phone number and your physical address. Those three things in your name, your first name, last name, when those are all tied together, that forms a bond that is not easily broken, so to speak. Data brokers sell that information in an effort to make money. Basically, they're selling it to advertisers. Now, who else would want your email address? Spammers. Let me tell you a story. Way back in about 2004, 5, somewhere in there, 2006, I was working with a programmer to write some code for me for an online program. And he told me, I don't remember what the context was, but he told me that those free email services, like back then Yahoo was very big, or Hotmail, or Google was just getting going and so forth. They sell your email address to spammers. I couldn't believe he was telling me this. How did he know this? First, he says, do a test. Create an email address that is nonsensical, just a random set of letters, at one of those free email providers. And they said, wait a month after you create it. Send no email, receive no email, nothing. Don't use it. Then, after that month, you'll notice nothing came in. Send an email to another provider, a Gmail or a Yahoo or something like that, and then sit back and watch the spam come in. I was amazed. He was right. Spammers, they use the free email services all the time to sell account. The free email services, I said that wrong. Free email services sell account information to spammers all the time. Another place that your email address could end up in is data breaches, along with your phone number and your name and your physical address and so forth. What could possibly go wrong? A lot. You can be impersonated. And when you're impersonated, people can use that to steal information about you, your password to your email account, your password to your financial accounts, your password to your credit accounts. We've talked about all these kinds of things. Data breaches are very dangerous. And so it's very important that giving out these email aliases help you to track where this is coming from. Where is my data being breached? Where's my email being breached? And it's just one piece of information, but it's a big one. It's a very important one. How about this one? Send this to 20 of your friends so that you don't end up like this other person. And what do? They don't even bother hiding them in the blind carbon copy. And so now there's a list of 20 email addresses that was forwarded on to another person, and that just multiplies and multiplies and multiplies. Now all of a sudden someone gets a hold of that and they can harvest all those email addresses. It can be sold. Businesses. You want to control what email address a business receives so that, and I'm talking email address here, what's the email alias that they receive so you can track. So for instance, if you're going to sign up for an account on, I don't know why this is in my head, but the NFL.com. Let's say you bought something from NFL.com. And all of a sudden you get a piece of spam that is NFL@myemail.com. Well, I gave that to the NFL, but I didn't give that to anybody else. Why am I suddenly receiving spam from NFL.com? And you can trace that back. Another thing that you'll be able to do, I'll get into this in just a minute, you can shut that email address off using the service that I use. So earlier in the Privacy Bootcamp, I mentioned that you should also be creating two new email addresses, one with Proton and one with Tuta. I got to say, before I continue, don't fall in love with your current email address. It's not a part of you. It's not like an appendage. It's not dear and near personal to you. You need to get over the idea that you're married to your email address. I know that sounds corny, but you've got to understand that just because you've had it for the last 5, 10, 15, 20 years, it's not your personal friend. It's just an email address. And so I want you to divorce yourself from your email address eventually. It's going to take some time, but just keep that in mind. So two new email addresses that I wanted you to create a few episodes ago. One with Proton, one with Tuta. Here's the most critical part of the video. Now, there's no message more important regarding your email from this point forward that you need to hear and implement. There's no message more important. So stop what you're doing, pause all conversations, lean in, and listen to this. Here we go. When you create these two email addresses, do not tell anyone what those email addresses are. Never tell anyone. Don't tell anyone. No one. The only exception that I could possibly think of would be your spouse, maybe your lawyer. Nobody else. Don't tell anybody. And even your lawyer probably doesn't need to know. But that's it. That's the most important part of this video. That's the most important part of this privacy bootcamp up until now. You probably think that's nuts, but trust me, that's a huge deal. It's a key element in making sure to keep your information private. Never email directly from there to anywhere. And it kind of goes back to that story I told you from the spammers. From now on, you'll only give out email aliases to people when they need your email address. You'll only give out email aliases to businesses when they need your email address. You will never give out your real email address to anybody. Ever. Ever. Okay, so let's say we're going to combine email aliases with a password manager. We're going to put, that gives you a strong strategy to control who gets access to your inbox and who does not. Aliasing does a few things to help you maintain control of your email. For instance, if you receive a spam email, you can check the headers to see what email address it came from. NFL at, whatever your email domain is, .com. You know it came somewhere from the NFL. And then you can make a decision. Do I need to give them a different email address, or did they sell it to someone, or was it part of a data breach? For the most part, if you look at that email, you can kind of tell. And if you can't tell, well, maybe you do need to give them a new email address. That's okay. You're not married to any email address. By looking at the content in the email, you can tell. Now, this is one reason why I switched to Proton Pass. Proton Pass includes the email aliasing service that I use called SimpleLogin. If you don't have a password manager, get Proton Pass. Just get it. You'll find Proton Pass at goclick.me/ProtonPass. You can see, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. It's printed right here on the screen. goclick.me/ProtonPass. If you're listening by audio, it's goclick.me/ProtonPass. goclick.me/ProtonPass. So I use Proton Pass now. I absolutely love its flexibility. For instance, you can import passwords from any of the major password managers. If you're using a browser, which I don't think you should be doing, you can import it from there. So if you have over 600 passwords or 700 passwords, or even if you only have 100 passwords, who wants to retype all that stuff out? Import it, use their methods, just a few clicks and you're done. Consider, you'll save time filling out online forms. So consider that when you create multiple email aliases, you need somewhere to keep track of them all. And you're crazy if you don't. I'll explain more about that in just a minute. You can log in with an autofill or with a passkey or something like that, all through Proton Pass. Passkeys are a really great thing that you can use, and they're very secure. If you can hear my dog in the background, he's probably barking at the mailman right now. I apologize for that. Right now, Proton Pass has a promotion where you can get 50% off of their regular price. So, go right now, goclick.me/ProtonPass, and get signed up today. Once again, that's goclick.me/ProtonPass. Yes, you're the one that was barking at the mailman. Okay, get your password manager set up today. So, there's another reason why using email aliases is so crucial for your privacy. You want to create layers for some of your accounts. Compartmentalize them. Another term that I've heard is you silo or sandbox them. Whatever term you want to use, it doesn't matter. You want to keep from putting all of your information in one place and reusing that information over and over again for every single account. If you've done this, you're normal, but normal is not good here. Using the same email address and the same password for everything is a horrible strategy. It's absolutely terrible. I don't care how good your password is. If you use the same thing everywhere, it's horrible. It may be convenient for you, but that means it's convenient for a thief or a hacker or whatever you want to call them. Every time you create an online account, as I've told you, I recommend using a unique 20 or more character password. The password should only be used in one account, ever, anywhere. For privacy and for security, if you also assign that account an email alias. Make sure it's you want to make sure it's only one alias per account, and don't use that alias anywhere else. Very simple. I use one alias for my church that gets published on the church website, and the people that I work with use that. So I know where that is coming from. If I get spam from that email alias, I know that information was compromised. And I can go in and I can change the account. I can change the email alias to something else. That's it. That's all we got to do. So think about it. If you use the same email address and same password everywhere, hackers have access to everything about you. Using a different password for each account makes it harder. Also, using an email alias adds another layer of security to that account. So, layer 1, an email alias that's unique for that account, stored in a software password manager. Layer 2, a unique password, also stored in that software password manager. 20 characters or more, random letters, characters, uppercase, lowercase letters, and symbols. Layer 3, depending on how significant the account is. Like if it's a financial account or a medical account, perhaps you want to use an extra 7 to 10 character code that you store in a hardware password manager, like an only key. This is what I use. And I can store passwords, email addresses, or aliases in here. Or I can even add that 7 to 10 character code on top of the password so that no one piece of software, no one source has my entire password. And for some accounts that may be necessary. You probably don't want to do that with everything. I mean, you can if you want to, but you don't have to. But having something like this is absolutely essential for your most important accounts, like your financial accounts, your retirement account, your bank account, that kind of thing. And then layer 4, a YubiKey for two-factor authentication. Or if you're really, I love this part of it, you can use an authenticator app that's included on a YubiKey 5CI. I'll get into that in the next couple of episodes, talking about hardware and software authenticators. We'll talk about those. This removes a lot of the low-hanging fruit that a hacker would normally want to have to access your account. Kind of moves you to the top of the tree instead of down below. Now, is this overkill? Maybe. Only you can decide that for yourself, and obviously you're not going to want to do it with every single account. But you probably want to do it for some of your more important accounts. The layered approach that I'm recommending here is also known as siloing or compartmentalizing. This may be needed for some accounts, but not others. I'll tell you this bit of inconvenience. I can't talk today. I'm reading from my notes, and I've got 3 other things, including listening to the dog make noises below me. I'll tell you that this little bit of inconvenience is a lot better than having accounts stolen or your entire identity stolen. Besides, once you create this habit, it'll become second nature to you. It will be easy. It'll be just as easy as when you had the convenience set up before. I highly recommend that you begin creating habits of privacy. Email aliases, unique passwords, hardware keys, authenticator apps, credit freezes and fraud alerts, virtual private networks, end-to-end encryption, voice over IP for your phone. These are habits that you should incorporate into your daily routine, one at a time, until you master it. Then add another one, master that, add another one, so that it's a habit. It's like waking up in the morning. You know, when we wake up, I was told one time, we do about the same 5 to 7 activities or tasks when we wake up, in that same order every day, or most every day. These are just habits. That's all they are. So use this privacy bootcamp as a guide on where to start, what direction to take, and just do a little bit every day. Just learn one thing today. Master it for a few days, and then add another one. Don't eat your elephant all in one meal. Eat your elephant a bite at a time. Have you ever heard that before? Well, I have. You probably know someone who's had an account compromised, and this has caused them a lot of headaches. Don't be that person. Create layers, create habits. Okay, I know I went off on several tangents, including the dog barking at the mailman. Regardless, let me review the main points that I've covered here just so that we don't miss anything. Number one, and this is where I asked you before, pay attention, tune everything out, and listen. Create 2 email addresses that you will never share with anyone, except maybe your spouse and maybe your lawyer. But even that's questionable. One with Proton for most of your email, for your common everyday email, and one with Tuda, where you have your most confidential communications. You're not going to get very much email in the Tuda account. Most everything is going to go to the Proton. And that can be for your lawyer, your financial advisor, or whatever. 2, an email alias forwards your email that is sent to it to your real email address. Remember, the one that you're not telling anybody what it is. Number 3, when you reply, the email goes back to the alias and it's sent to the original sender using the alias in the sent box. This keeps your real email address private from everyone. If you receive spam to your inbox, check the sent section to see where the email came from. If needed, you can either turn off the alias or you can just change it. I have hundreds of email aliases, hundreds of them. One unique one for each task, each purpose, each business, each person, whatever. Okay. When creating online accounts, use a unique email alias and a unique 20 or more character password for each account. That was 7. Number 8, store all these credentials, all of them, in your password manager. I recommend Proton Pass. Remember how I said this earlier? Right here is that goclick.me/Proton Pass link. It's right here on your screen if you're watching YouTube. Otherwise, if you're listening to audio, go click, that's goclik.me/Proton Pass. That's what I use it because it includes the email aliasing. I don't know of any other password manager that includes the email aliasing service as part of the price. Doing all these things, number 9, doing all these things creates layers that move you from the low-hanging fruit to the top of the tree. Number 10, finally, realize that everything in this privacy bootcamp will help you create habits of privacy that are mostly easy to implement and are all just small changes. Get really good at one and then add another. So that's all I have for you regarding email aliasing for level 1 of Privacy Bootcamp. And I realize that I've given you a lot of information, but really this is something that you can do rather quickly once you sign up for the Proton Pass account. Be sure to get set up a Proton Pass so you have an excellent password manager and email aliasing service. As I've said probably 20 times now, go to goclick.me/Proton Pass to get started. You'll really be glad you did. In our next episode, I'll discuss another essential tool for staying private, and that's 2-factor authentication using the hardware keys. Regular YubiKey or the YubiKey 5CI. And I'll explain those in the next episode. Hardware keys are just another component to maintaining your privacy online and offline. You won't want to miss that next episode. Until next time, this is Tim Jensen reminding you to stay safe and stay private. Thanks for listening.
That's all for now from Intentionally Inconvenient, leaving you with a challenge to question the cost of online convenience. If you want to keep learning, subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcast. Your reviews and 5-star ratings help reach more listeners. Until next time, remember, your privacy is never a lost cause. Stay safe, stay private.